is Michelle Sargent and I'm from Rego Consulting. Today I'm going to show you how to utilize one of my favorite features from Clarity's new user experience, and that feature is pick lists. Pick lists can be created and managed in many areas of the system, including the project and idea list views, as well as roadmaps and task lists. In this example, I am going to show you how to create a pick list from within a roadmap. So from the Clarity new user experience, simply navigate to roadmaps from the menu item on the left-hand side, and then select your roadmap. I'm going to use the Digital Roadmap 2023. Now, one of the things I really like about pick lists is that any user can create their own pick lists for use within the system, and you don't need the help of a system administrator to set these up. I find that when you are setting up and managing pick lists, in the first instance, I like to work from within the grid view. So a lot of areas of the system, you will note that you have a timeline view, a board view, and a grid view. I recommend starting here to set them up and assigning the values in the first instance. So once you are on the grid view, you can click on View Options in the top right-hand corner. And down the bottom, we have the option to manage pick lists. Click on that link and then select New Pick List. You can now give your pick list a name. So I am going to create the ability to categorize our initiatives within the roadmap as run, grow, or transform initiatives. So once you've added a name, you can then start to add your choices. Now that I've added my 3 choices, I can now assign colors to each of my values. And once I'm happy with my values and my color scheme, I can click on Done. I'm now going to exit View Options. We're now going to add our pick list as a column to our roadmap item list. So over on the right here in my column panel, I'm going to select that and then search for the name that I assigned to my pick list. I'm going to click and drag and bring that over here to sit beside each roadmap item name. I'm going to X out of my columns, and I can now start to assign values to each of my roadmap items as to whether they are run, grow, or transform. Now, if you find that your color coding hasn't come through, just click the refresh button in your web browser. And once that loads up again, we should find that the color scheme is now displaying. So as I said, this is really handy from the grid view to be able to just quickly go through and assign values to your initiatives. I'm just going to assign a handful just so that we can continue our demonstration. Now that we have some data assigned to each of our pick list values, I'd like to take you through how you can actually use your pick list to view information. So I'm going to hover my mouse over the header of my pick list column. If I click and drag that up to this row up here that actually says group by, once I release, I've now applied a group by to my data within the roadmap, and it's now grouping by those pick list values. So we can now see if I click on the little chevron beside the value, it will show me which items have been categorized as transform, which ones are run, which ones are grow, as well as those which haven't been categorized. So in the first instance now, we've added our pick list and our values, and we've started to update the data within the system to add pick list values. From here, you could also go into your board view. And then again, going into view options, we can now choose if we want to update our columns as well as the coloring of our cards by the values within our pick list. So for the purposes of this exercise, I am going to say for my columns, I would like to select my run, grow, transform pick list, and you can now see the data is sorted into columns. I can also color my data by that new pick list. So searching for the name of the pick list and selecting it, and you can now see the color has been applied as well as the columns. If I X out of view options now, just to give me a bit more space, any values that have not yet been classified or categorized can now be easily dragged and dropped over to the column where they belong. So we can now say these ones are run. We could move this one to grow, move this one to transform. So it's a really easy way to move your data between those columns of information. On the timeline view, we can also make similar updates. So at the moment, I have one column, one swim lane of information here. But if I go into view options in the top right-hand corner and say that I want to categorize my swim lanes by run, grow, or transform, I can again search for my pick list. And you will now see on the left-hand side here, we have swim lanes of run, grow, and transform. We can also choose to color our investments by our pick list on our timeline view. You'll notice here as that change applies, our legend, which we have displayed, is showing our run, grow, transform values and color scheme. And you'll also notice now that our timeline is also colored according to our new pick list. That is the update on pick lists. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.